We'll call the meeting to order. It's 9 o'clock. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with agenda review.
Mr. Chair, we do have one additional item this morning. We want to add a tax increment financing request for district number 39-1 from the city of Mankato.
Okay.
I'll move the agenda with the addition.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Today we have a special part of our board meeting, the 2014 Citizens Academy graduation for Blue Earth County. The Blue Earth County Citizens Academy program started March 25th with 7 consecutive sessions on Tuesday evenings through May 6th. This is the 6th graduating class of the program. Throughout the course of the past 7 weeks, the group of citizen participants were able to get an in-depth look at how Blue Earth County operates and get a hands-on learning experience about the services Blue Earth County provides. Sessions ranged from meeting at the historic courthouse to learn about the county budget and tour the historic courthouse, to visiting the Ponderosa landfill and having the first-hand opportunity to sit in the equipment at the highway department. Another highlight of the program was that participants were able to interact with several staff members and ask specific questions regarding their line of work and departmental responsibilities. On behalf of the Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners, I commend all participants for taking the initiative to apply for this program and for your commitment to show up each Tuesday evening to learn about county government. We're extremely proud of this group and are so glad that you were part of the program. At this time, each of you will receive a certificate of completion for participating in the Citizens Academy. The certificate certifies that each of you have successfully completed the program and congratulates you on your commitment to being an engaged citizen. Jesse will read off the names. I will present you with your certificate and give you a commemorative Blue Earth County coin prior to getting a photo with you, and then the board will congratulate you. At the end, we'll get a group picture with all the participants and their certificates here in the boardroom. We'll start in alphabetical order. Let's line up down here, and we'll.
This will pick up a little bit. Well, as program facilitator for the 2014 Citizens Academy program, I just wanted to say it was an honor to have all of you in the program, and not everyone could be here this morning because of work and other commitments, but I appreciate everyone. We'll read off everyone's names this morning, and it was just an honor to get to know you guys over the last 7 weeks, and thank you again for your commitment, as Commissioner Purvis mentioned. So. All right, should we get started? All right. Well, our first certificate and goes to, and this is alphabetical, so Beth Ann Davis. So, did you want to hand out the certificate?
Congratulations. Thank you for your commitment.
Congratulations.
Next, we have Max Grinswick. Actually, you know what? If you want to sit back down and we can get the pictures at the end. I think that'll work out. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Hankey.
Congratulations. Take care of that coin. You can spend it nowhere.
I'll try to.
It was great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for participating.
And then we had John Hendrickson, who was not able to attend this morning, followed by Richard Henniker. There you are. The next participant was Drew Hood, and he's not able to be here this morning. Also, Shanna Hood. They were a couple this year in the program, and she is a teacher, so she's at school today. Then we had Courtney Keitzer. Or Keitzer? Yep. And then Dan Cordum. There's Dan. We can clap as we go.
We're not in church.
No. The county board meeting, yes, it's serious. This is a special day.
Thanks, Dan.
Christopher Lieneman.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Annie Like. And we have Ruby Meir.
That's just not fair.
You got Jay Myers, and he's at work this morning. Emily Rajewski. Tammy Rose. She's at school with her son this morning. Brent Rosso.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
David Spessard.
Thanks for taking my time.
Richard Van Hecky.
He gets extra points for that.
Where do I play?
Yeah.
Dean Wellner. And then Ken Wilmus, and he is not able to be with us this morning. So that concludes all the participants. So a round of applause to all the graduates. Thank you again to all the participants and for all the departments who put together great programs for you to learn about programs and services throughout Blue Earth County. So at this time, if you guys want to come up and we'll get a group photo, and then I think we'll take a short minute. I think because it's raining outside, we're just going to have people stand up here, and we'll get the photo. So if you guys want to come on up.
Well, we want to thank you for your time, and these gentlemen showed their faces more than once. I personally appreciate that.
Yes, thank you to the board for allowing this program in the county. So. Come on up, don't be shy.
Yeah, come on up. One of these times, maybe we'll make all of them, we'll make them all.
Yeah, maybe we'll learn something.
Yeah, maybe we'll, yes or no.
So we have, if you guys, we're kind of take it off to the side so we should be able to see everybody, but a few people can get up on top and then a few on the bottom. So maybe the taller ones on the bottom.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why you're here. I want to go down to that end then.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah.
See everybody? Yeah, no, I've done that. That's only when I can. I try to behave in the public.
Okay, here we go. Okay. I'll take a couple. I think it's a 45. Okay, one more.
I didn't take a photography class. Clearly.
You always work pretty good before you.
Thanks. Hopefully I get it. Okay, thank you. We'll just take a, well, are we taking a few minutes? Do you want pictures individually, or do you need to get?
We have about 5 minutes.
Maybe about 5 minutes, so.
Okay, we're ready. Back to the agenda. We have public comment scheduled for 9:15. I think we're about at that. Mr. Wilcox, would you like to come forward? Come to the podium, please.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
Morning. Just come in and do some comments on the Full Circle Organics compost site off by Good Thunder there and stuff. This has kind of been an ongoing battle with this for the last couple of years. It started out, MPCA permitted this under a solid waste permit. Nothing has been followed under the solid waste permit. Under the solid waste permit, there should have been an EIS done on the weight and taken in here. That was not done. Should have been an EAW done. That was not done. We had a petition the MPCA to do an EAW on it. Got 150 signatures from citizens of Good Thunder to get this done. They still did not do one and stuff. And from that, we've continued on to have more issues with smell. We have probably over 30 conditional use violations from the site, ranging from operations on Sunday, operating on Sundays, operating on holidays. We've had issues with smell continuously, with odors and stuff where we cannot stay in our house because of the smell is so pungent and stuff, and it actually even comes into the house. And the MPCA, in dealing with this, they have told us that you shouldn't smell these sites. When you do smell these sites, you have to call 911 because they're anaerobic and it's toxic, and it's not like a feedlot. You don't have to call 911 when you smell a feedlot. We've lived here over 10 years. We've had one issue with the feedlots there or anything. And this is basically, it's a commercial site out in the agricultural land there. And we have, Brenda, about a month and a half ago, opened up the windows to air out the house, and she pretty much got sick, had to take her to the ER and everything, and then brought her back home from that, and she continued to get worse. So pretty much the doctors are saying she is allergic to aspergillus, and this is the main thing these sites produce, is aspergillus. And they basically told her she can't be around compost sites. And they're actually referring to the small backyard compost sites, not these sites that are taking in 110 tons a day. And two, with this, the site is continuing to take more and more. It's taking in Dodge County now. It's shooting for Olmsted County. These counties that are 80 miles away want to ship this 80 miles one way instead of putting it in their own counties. And so once if they get Rochester, Owatonna, and that, this site's going to be it's going to be massive. There's going to be a lot of other issues going to be happening with this site. And I guess we just wanted to come and kind of present some of the stuff and that we have and stuff. We have documentation too of other sites in Minnesota that have been closed down. Ramsey County had a site up there that took in 30,000 cubic yards a year. The site was closed down due to environmental contamination and health issues. People got sick. 2 people actually died. And in 2008, St. Cloud had issues, environmental issues with their site. That was closed down. The Arboretum in Chaska, it's the MPCA's own test site. This site was basically was taken in, it bumped up to 360 tons a year, and they got complaints, too many complaints from the neighbors versus smell, dust on their porches, dust, couldn't even open their windows and stuff. It's the same thing with what happened with the Sluttons and the residents there. That site had to be closed down. It moved and downsized to 2,600 tons a year. The site out by us is taking in 110 tons a day. I mean, it's not even in, I mean, the site out here is 100 times bigger than these sites that are being closed down for environmental issues and health issues. And I guess we've brought that along too and stuff, along with Brenda's medical documentation that she is allergic to this site. And I guess we're basically here is that something has to be done with this site, either it's shut down or we're moved out of this picture. I know Blue Earth County has already bought out Mark Clammer for living next to the Ponderosa there, where the county wants to build a mix or a sorting station where they just dump the garbage for a short term and sort it, and I'm sure the rest would be sorted and coming out by us. And this is just from Blue Earth County. I mean, here we're talking where we're at, we gotta deal with multiple counties, we gotta deal with commercial places that are dumping there and stuff, and it's getting bad. I mean, every time we have a southeast wind, it stinks. And we have sheriff documentations on, they smelling this stuff a half mile away. And it's not good. It doesn't smell like a feedlot whatsoever. It smells like rotten trash. Like you left on vacation and left your garbage in the house. And you come home and you open that up and smell it. And this is what this site smells like. And they have no control with Vector either. Wintertime, they have snow going up over their fence with issues with Vector going in and out. According to the solid waste permit, they're supposed to have a berm all the way around this site with trees and everything for protection of the Vector and to protect this composting process, because you have to hold the temperatures and moisture levels. And we right away said, how are you going to do this in a wide open field with the high winds we have there? You're not going to be able to control this process. And the MPCA said, well, we're going to put berms around it, and this is all going to help control that process. And then they put in the solid waste permit that the site should not even be operating without this protection for the environment and the citizens around there. It's not there. And the MPCA, Sherry stated, well, I don't know how we missed this, but somehow we didn't have it in. So we've had a lot of different issues here. And
there's a lot of issues, and nobody seems to do anything about it. We have called the sheriff numerous times on this now. We have called Blue Earth County Environmental Services. We have called the MPCA. You guys got to understand that when our doors and windows are closed and the wind is blowing, we smell ammonia, dead animal, rotting garbage, shit in our house. I don't know how you can expect it to be living like that. These are all the different emails we've sent, and there's many more. We have piles upon piles, but we brought some of the most important. These are also the sheriff's reports where we've called and they've come out and they've documented the smell. Because there's been a little bit of an issue when we do call environmental services, we're told, well, we went out there and we can't smell it now. So, do you guys want me to give you these?
We've, if you can stick around a little bit too, we've scheduled some time with Scott Fickner, the head of Environmental Services. He's next on the agenda, and he'll take 10-15 minutes, and then he will meet you in the fireplace room to talk further about your concerns. Would you be able to do that?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I also want to give you guys the medical records. This shows there's many things that are given off from compost sites. It's not just aspergillus mold, it's bacteria, pathogens, VOCs, many things, but one of the things that largely produces is aspergillus. After I had the asthma attack, I have basically allergy-induced asthma. I don't have asthma issues until I have allergy issues. So the doctor suggested I went and do further testing. Doctor said when he read this, well, this explains it. I am allergic to aspergillus mold. He gave me a random handout, and on that it says avoid compost piles, as Vic mentioned. I questioned. I said, are you talking commercial composting, or are you talking backyard little compost pile? He says, well, a backyard composting pile. I said, well, what happens when you live next to something that's composting 110 tons of garbage a day? Very obviously said to me, you can't be there, and went into a lecture on how people have died from asthma attacks.
And a healthy person might be able to live there, but somebody who has a sensitive receptor and stuff, even we have information, the Minnesota Department of Health says sensitive receptors are susceptible to this stuff. And this is Brenda's case. I mean, a normal person might be able to be there and sustain all right, so it's...
Another issue you have, and I did not bring my daughter's medical records, but about a year ago my daughter became ill and was hospitalized, and couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, and through a lot of testing, it was found out she has lymphocytic colitis, which is an autoimmune disorder. Again, that falls under the sensitive receptors. People with autoimmune disorders should never be anywhere near a compost site. I cannot now even, I'm not living in my house. I haven't been living there. The doctors are telling me I should not go back. My daughter, even if I did live there, could never go there. My grandson, we got him tested for allergies for school because he has issues and he was allergic to 38 out of 41 things. He cannot be there. How does this not go against the county's conditional use permit, where it says you guys cannot affect our house basically and our ability to enjoy our land and live there? I can't even live there. I have to pay for it, but I can't live there.
And so we have no issues with the feedlots and stuff, but this is not a feedlot.
I never had an issue for 10 years. I never had an issue with any of those feedlots next to us. This gets built, I opened my window one day, and honestly, we had it just like, there's the Arboretum also had that. We had black compost dirt blow in the windows. I had just washed my bathroom and I have a white tub shower unit, and the day I opened the windows and got sick, this black soot was everywhere in my house. That is from this compost site.
And then too, on top of it, there's nothing being done with dust. A month ago, I was in complaining about dust. Still nothing there. Doing no dust on the roads. They're supposed to be taking care of that stuff. And it's over a month. But we have pictures where dust clouds from their trucks will come floating right into our yards and stuff.
We have been complaining about dust since the construction. George Leary told us that they could do whatever they want when they were building it, which is untrue. If you read the solid waste permit, it states that they are to have dust control throughout the construction process as well as when they open for business, and none of that was done. We have emails to the MPCA, we have emails to Blue Earth County Environmental Services. No one listens.
I've addressed the dust issue myself after we spoke last week. I think that will take care of itself starting this week. So I hope we've done something with that. So thank you for your comments. We have to move on with our agenda, and if you would meet Scott in the fireplace room in about 10 or 15 minutes. Good morning.
Morning.
We're here today to talk a little bit more about the potential building for the landfill that we've talked about over the past couple of years, looking at it. We began by establishing various goals for the landfill, including better accessibility for the scale house. As you know, it's a mobile home with 11 steps to get up there, and that's caused some issues for some of the visitors. A safety room for severe weather for staff and visitors, providing a clean, safe, convenient waste drop-off area for the general public, that they would not have to unload at the landfill itself in competition with the big trucks. We discussed the possibility of expanded reuse and recycling opportunities, plastics and metal, materials exchange area for someone who might want some things like bicycles or lawnmowers or so on. The materials exchange program in the household hazardous waste facility is extremely positive. That would provide a reuse opportunity and save landfill space. We've also talked about possibility of collecting mattresses and send them for recycling to reduce our landfill space. In addition to the possible goals for the building, we discussed type of structure, building size, heating and insulation needs, and fire suppression requirements. We used the information received over the various work groups or workshop areas to develop various building alternatives and further discussion. Board has been provided with a variety of information. On the board workshop on April 29th, a couple of weeks ago, we had a memo from the architects indicating cost estimates. They were prepared a summary of graphically depicted different building options, the different sizes that we were looking at, and the different styles of construction, and then some of the options the board was considering. At that workshop, it seemed there was a general consensus to construct a scale house and a waste service recycling building. The waste service recycling building would be precast concrete. The building would include insulation, fire suppression system, and in-slab heating. The main issue that was not resolved was the size of the waste service recycling building. Two options have been discussed: 800 square feet. That includes both the scale house at 1,400 square feet and about 10,400 square feet for the working building, and then 18,200 square feet, 1,400 square foot scale house again, and 16,800 for the service building. If you'll remember, the 18,800 square foot building was developed specifically to address fire code buildings. Class S1 buildings less than 12,000 square feet may not have to be have fire suppression within them. At the conclusion of that workshop on the 29th, it was decided that the issue of the building size should be brought to the board and at a county board meeting for a final decision. So basically, the options that you asked to bring back were option A, 11,800 square foot total for the scale house and service building; B, 18,200 square foot structure, scale house and service building; or C, another size option that could be based on the fire suppression requirements and that going away if the board decides to put the fire suppression in. It could be any size. Yes.
On the 18,200 square foot option, it's got an addition cost to build a fire barrier wall. Is this not included in the baseline?
That wall is included as an option. It is not in that baseline number. And it is not needed if there's fire suppression.
Okay, so if we have fire suppression, we do not need that.
Correct. That was about $125,000.
Right.
Yeah.
I would put a motion to have the 18,200 square foot precast option.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Okay. Discussion?
I think after some educating that I got from Scott and actually talking with some other people, I was more supportive of the 12,000 square foot building, just because I thought that was an awfully big building. But after hearing some testimony about, the problems we have with trying to place these things, I think anything we can do to keep our landfill from getting fuller, we need to deal with. And
Yeah, that's a good point.
I was at another meeting and we were talking about airspace in the landfill at a MVAC meeting. So I mean, it's even a, with the reuse of their thrift store there, and so land space is valuable to them. So
Yeah.
and I think to try to place another landfill somewhere in Blue Earth County would be very difficult. So I think anything we can do to support that would be in our best interest. So I think we can do a lot of good things with this and try to get some things out of the landfill and recycled and reused.
I agree,
So I will
Commissioner.
support this.
I think that it took quite a while, for us to kind of grapple with everything that was possibly could happen out there. This all came out of dealing with refuse, which is, we just heard, an issue dealing with refuse. And I know for years I've been reading articles about how the future is going to be a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of money spent on dealing with our human garbage. And as we see, that's what's happening. And so I see it as an investment in the future too, because I don't think this area around Mankato here in Blue Earth County is going to get any smaller. And it's growing as we speak. And so I really agree with your comments. And, I don't have enough education in the area of the firewall. I just know that if it's going to create the safest conditions or the preservation of that building, I don't know. That's something that I suppose needs to be looked at closely. Maybe we should leave that option open or closed I don't know what you guys think about that, I don't know, but.
I guess I'm taking my expert from Scott and saying if we have a sprinkler system, we do not need that. I think after the fires that have occurred this last winter, WW Blacktopping our own garage and everything, I think we all kind of, even with a 12,000 square foot building, I think we kind of thought, sprinkler system's not a bad idea. So originally, that was what was the idea for getting a smaller building, is because we wouldn't have to have a sprinkler system.
Correct.
Now with the whole thing is, well, we're gonna have a sprinkler system anyway. So, with everything, also in our last work session, we spoke about, how we're really behind in times at the Justice Center with different things we didn't include 5 years ago. So when you look at the city of Mankato has got a historic building season this year. I mean, no time in the city of Mankato have they ever had this much building going on. Trust me, with that much building, there's gonna be more garbage. It's
More
just,
people.
just the way it is, just the way it is. I think it's
I know.
a very good idea to have this size of building and have it done right.
And just for a point of clarification, this is actually come out of the Ponderosa Fund, which is an enterprise fund.
Actually, this will come out of the
Or
solid waste
the
fee
solid
fund.
waste fee fund, yeah.
Part of it, a small part, will come out of the Ponderosa, which is an enterprise fund. correct.
Okay. I knew it was just another, it's not the,
Right. It's not out of the general fund, and
Right.
it's not out of any normal budget.
And for anybody that's ever been out there, right now the way it is, you have to drive down the hill quite a ways where big, huge trucks pass you sometimes. They're dumping refuse down there, right into where they are burying the refuse. So if you have a normal tire on your car, there's a high likelihood you could puncture it. You could get hit by a truck. I mean, luckily, nothing's ever really happened out there that I know of,
Not
except for
yet.
some tires maybe.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, and I used to keep an old 1975 Dodge pickup truck. The city didn't like it, parked up in the woods, and mainly I kept it just in case I needed to take a load there, because it had 8-ply tires on it. And so I think for the general public, we're happy to get that up on the hill,
Right.
away from any harm's way, thinking about people's health and safety, and having it up on the hill. That's where this kind of grew out of, didn't it? I mean, it really was a health and safety thing. And now it's efficiency.
Right.
Looking forward, to trying to reduce some of the fill that we put in our landfill. So I just wanted to say that.
I did my part
wonderful.
last week. I took a load of old shingles out there. So.
You did?
I was ready to go out there, but I didn't get there before noon on Saturday.
Well, it's open until 3.
Well, the voicemail, says 12 noon on Saturdays.
We'll
And
have
I
to
thought it
change
was
that
later.
to-
I thought it was later, but when I
Found it.
thought I
Found a
called.
glitch.
There's
Yeah.
summer hours.
All right, see, then I could've went.
That's good, though. Oh.
It's a good thing, and I think we'll just, like you said, with going to the 18,000, hopefully that'll be
Yeah.
good for a while.
Right.
That'd be the next.
And I was
thing.
impressed with how much it doesn't cost to heat. I mean, that was one of my biggest concerns. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was kind of a ongoing expense going forward. How much are we locking the county into going forward? Well, when you got the report from North Mankato's large facility, it was very low to heat. And so that floor heating is very radiant. You have it at a low temperature. You don't have it like at 80 degrees or anything.
Correct.
It's-
It'll be 40, 45 degrees in
Yeah.
that building in winter.
Yeah, so then it helped alleviate, concerns. It'll probably be under 4,000 a year to
Yeah.
heat that thing, or 3,000 even.
Well, and what this really takes care of also is, we've been gathering fees for years at the Ponderosa. Those fees are rather high right now, or the amount is rather high. This will not cost the taxpayer extra money because of this, because we have a buildup of fees that's going to pay for this. And also the heating and stuff also gets paid for with those fees. So we're not talking about the taxpayers getting a larger levy because of this. That's already being they've already paid for it.
Yeah, the Ponderosa is, as was suggested, an enterprise fund. It is its own budget, and is responsible for the heating and all of the equipment purchases and things like that.
I think if the 5 of us were looking at this saying we'd have to add this to the levy for next year, we'd have a whole different conversation. But since, you know, us as taxpayers have already been paying for this through our garbage funds for how many years that's been going on,
Since the early
this is
90s.
actually the accumulation and a very positive thing of that.
Right.
Okay. There's no further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott and Dave and everybody. It's nice. What's next here?
Planning and zoning.
P and Z?
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
George.
Hey, George. George.
Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay,
So-
go ahead, George.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PC 01-13 was a request from Pete Bleth and Jennifer Clark. This is basically just an update, gentlemen, but it's a request for approval of a final plat of Prairie Lake subdivision. And basically, at the Planning Commission last week, or earlier this month, the applicants had recently indicated that they were going to request a delay of the action until the June meeting. And Mr. Leary suggested that the commission table the meeting until the June meeting per the applicant's request. And following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to table the discussion of the item until the June meeting, and there is no board action at this time.
Are there any, they're just working on some more issues? Is that what's going on? They're just
The
kind of...
drainage plan.
Drainage
and,
plan?
Yeah, that's basically been finalized, and just a couple minor things that worked out late
Yeah.
last week, and we anticipate it coming forward in June.
Okay, because this is like the third time I've heard of this.
Yes.
This one
yes.
here at a formal board meeting, and I've never seen one come before us like that.
We're just trying to
3 times,
follow,
but not really doing any action.
right, trying to follow proper procedures, so there's no legal hangups with that.
Okay.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, PC 08-14 is a request from the Cato Cycle Club for a conditional use permit for a grading and filling project in a bluff zone. The proposal involves adding fill and repairing an existing cycle hill climb area. The property is zoned agricultural and is located in the southwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 31, South Bend Township. Mr. Manderfeld presented the staff report. The applicants were represented. The representative indicated that the club understands the need for proper erosion control. He added that the use of the grounds is family-oriented and that a lot of time and effort has been involved trying to make it the best they can. The applicant's engineer explained the HydroCAD modeling for the stormwater system and the changes that have been made to the stormwater management plan since the initial review by an engineer contracted by the county. There was additional discussion on how the vegetative cover will be established and maintained on the hillside. The applicant's representative indicated that the hill climb will only be used for 3 to 4 events a year, and the use will be limited. He added that the hill climbers tend to follow the same path. If reseeding is needed, they will provide it. He ended his comments by stating that the hill climb has been around for more than 60 years. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation for approval of a proposed bluff zone grading and filling project to the county board, and the board action was the resolution.
Okay. We'll open it up for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak to PC 08-14, please come to the podium, state your name.
Hi, I'm Bill Bernick. I'm president of the Cato Cycle Club. And as we were mentioning, you know, the club's been for over 75 years already. And we are a family-oriented club and promote motorcycling. And one of the ways that we keep our club going is putting on these hill climb events. We've had them there for over 60 years. And we're trying to do a redesign here for not only to make it better for our spectators and our supporters and stuff like that, but also for maintenance, help us prevent further erosion, and so that we can continue to have those climbs there for 60, 70 plus more years. Like I said before, yes, we are a family-oriented club. Many of our kids are down there. Many of our members are kids from previous members, so we'd like this to continue on for them and other future generations. And the maintenance thing is definitely a plus to help any things that happen in the future of more erosion, and easier for us to maintain then, easier for us to put on these events, and hopefully that will continue.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Go ahead.
My name is Dennis Oden with Banner Associates. I am the engineer that worked on this report with Cycle Club. And I just wanted to, what I looked at is what we have there is a bare hill right now, and their intention is to put grass seed on it. That's going to be the challenge because their event is June 6th, I believe. And so as soon as this is approved, they plan to address the hill or put the clay that they want to put on there. And then my intention is that what they would do immediately following that is put an oats cover crop with some legume in it, clover, alfalfa, and get something started. Now, in a week, I don't know that we're going to get much. So right after their first event, they're going to have to go out there and basically readdress that issue. But if we can get something on that hillside this growing season, that's what I'm looking for to control that. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to put a silt fence down along the tributary to the Blue Earth River so that we keep the silt and stuff out of there during this construction season. We're going to put a cover crop on to reduce erosion, and then I also designed in there a cutoff trench that's got sand and a sock filter drain pipe under it that's going to take the water and get any of the silt that comes off the hillside and protect the Blue Earth River. And that's a process that I had, and I did the HydroCAD model, and the HydroCAD model shows that when we put the berm, I'm essentially taking the dirt from the trench and building a berm. This isn't a place that they're gonna have to mow the lawn and things like that, so it doesn't have to be mowable. So it can be a 2-to-1 slope on the berm. And that berm will then collect the water, and it'll hold, the HydroCAD model shows that it'll hold the 100-year storm. So I think we've adequately protected the stream. And when this is done, it is going to be a challenge getting anything to grow in there, but if they get anything to grow, it's better than what it is. So I entertain any questions that you may have.
I just had some questions about that stream area. That little stream is down at the bottom of the hill there, and I would think that you're addressing everything appropriately. I mean, just so the dirt doesn't run directly off the hill and then go down into the stream. I think that would be whatever you can do. You said you're going to put some sort of a sock there during the construction period, but will there be something ongoing so it doesn't go right down into the stream?
Right, that's what the cutoff trench, what we're doing is we're putting a berm on the stream side. We're building a berm, we're cutting a 3-foot deep trench, filling that with sand and rock, and then putting a sock, I guess, or a filter fabric around that sand to keep the silt out of it, keep it clean. And then that's gonna have a pipe in the bottom, so any water is gonna hit the berm, and it has to drop through the sand and filter fabric, and then go out the pipe in the bottom and into the stream. So it'll be filtered through 3 feet of sand before it gets anywhere. And the berm, and that's why I ran the HydroCAD model, the berm is high enough to hold or store the 100-year storm.
Okay.
So, we've well protected it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we won't have a storm greater than 100 years, but.
We've only had 3 of them in the last 10 years.
Right,
So.
yeah. Right.
But, yeah.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
comments. Anyone else that would like to speak to this?
What kind of motorcycles were they doing hill climbs with 60 years ago? Harleys and Indians, Scouts and...
Yes, they, of course, that's what they were, old Harleys and Indians.
Scouts and Sportsters?
Yes.
It's come a long way.
It has come a long way, absolutely. It's, it's a growing sport. There is plenty of followers. We are AMA sanctioned, and then we're through District 23 for our events and stuff, so, yep.
Very good. There's no other public comment. I'll close the public comment section, bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second
Any discussion?
You know, the Cato Cycle Club's been a well-respected club for years around Mankato. And I think what they're doing actually is, you know, is trying to save, you know, the area. And they could just leave it the way it is, but instead they're really trying to improve it and improve the runoff and improve what's going on. So I really appreciate what you're doing here. It looks like, you know, a very positive thing, and it shows the positive things that the people in the Cato Cycle Club do.
I agree. That's good.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, PC 09-14 is a request from Daryl Andrig for a conditional use permit to construct one total confinement swine finishing barn capable of holding 1,250 finishing pigs or 500 animal units. Said request will increase the total animal units to the site to 2,000. The site is located in the agricultural zone district in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 20, Luray Township. Mr. Schulte presented the staff report. The applicant and his son were present but had no comment. There was no public comment. And following a brief discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval for the proposed feedlot expansion to the county board. And the board action is the resolution.
I'll move the resolution.
Oh, we gotta have public
sorry,
comment
yeah,
first.
sorry.
Okay, we'll open this up for public comment. Anyone in the audience that would like to speak to PC 09-14, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Anyone that would like to speak to PC 09-14, please come to the podium. Last time. Anyone that would like to speak to PC 09-14, please come to the podium. If there's no public comment, I'll close the public comments section, bring it back to the board.
I'll move the resolution on PC 09-14.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, is there discussion?
Well, I appreciate the work that they do, looking at all these different features. I know they talked about if a septic compliance inspection is needed, that'll be done before it's, you know, implemented, and MPCA, if they require anything, that those measures are done, and you have that in the report, so I appreciate all that. It's good.
Commissioner, I do believe the compliance check has already been completed.
It's already completed. Okay, good.
Well, this isn't far from my place, and Daryl and his family do a great job with their farming practices out there, and they got a nice operation. If you're ever out in that area, drive by it and look at it. It's really nice. It's clean, organized, looks really good, and so easy to support this.
Nice.
Good. Well, very good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PC 10-14 is a request from Blue Earth County. It is a request for a conditional use permit to transfer a development right from the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 14 McPherson Township to the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 23 McPherson Township. Ms. Yamaw presented the staff report. There was no public comment. Following a brief discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval of the proposed transfer of development rights to the county board, and the board action is a resolution.
Okay. We'll open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to PC 10-14? So come to the podium. Anyone that would like to speak to PC 10-14, please come to the podium. Last time, anyone that would like to speak to PC 10-14, please come to the podium. If there's no public comment, I'll close the public comment section, bring it back to the board.
I'll move the
Second.
PC-10-14.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
So this is on behalf of Blue Earth County. just a oversight that needed to be taken care of, more of a technicality, it sounds like?
Yes, sir. There was a construction permit, actually, years ago, there was a transfer of development rights into the, what is now referred to as ascending quarter section to accommodate the construction of another home. One of the property owners had a trailer house in that receiving quarter section. She had applied for a construction permit for a new home. It was assumed that the new home was going to go on the property where the trailer house was, but in fact it actually went to the south onto another parcel that she owned. And so to legitimize the whole process, we're transferring that development right back to ensure that she has that development right.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
50. Should we take a little break?
Okay,
You
one
wanna
more.
do the
Thanks, Daryl.
Drainage first?
See you later.
Drainage won't take long.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the drainage. quick.
Craig's here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the drainage, and then we'll take a break.
Morning.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Craig.
Morning.
Okay.
Okay. For drainage reports, I got 6 today, 5 of which are just simple broken tile or corrugated metal pipe that are rusted out and they just need to be replaced. Only unusual one was your second one on your report, and that's, we have actually an animal den in one of our berms,
Oh, really?
and it's causing the water to go, instead of going through the control structure in a controlled fashion, it's starting to wash out the berm.
What kind of animal?
I would suspect coyote.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, there's coyotes all over. I hardly ever do an inspection on an open ditch without seeing a coyote or signs of coyote now.
Hmm. Oh, it's time.
Interesting.
Okay. Any questions on the reports? If none, I'll
Nope, I've
entertain-
reviewed them all. I'll make a motion, or move that we redo all the repairs.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? There's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
Now we'll take a break. Okay, I think we're ready to go again. Angie and Jay?
It's the Angie and Jay Show.
Yeah. It's a lot better substitute than the one before.
Now, are you a lineman on Bill? Sounds like a guy.
Just part of it, yeah.
We don't slam anybody.
Yeah, we don't.
Thank you for filling in for Phil today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
No, we'll ask you that after we're done.
Go easy.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I have the following items for your approval. As a matter of protocol, do you want me to go through them all individually and you approve them at the end, or?
Yep. That's
Okay,
correct.
all right. The first one is a renewal contract with Sibley County Human Services. We currently have this contract in place, which allows us to utilize one of their registered nurse staff in the field of adult mental health, and she is part-time with Sibley County and part-time with Blue Earth County. The position is fully funded by Sibley County through their Adult Mental Health Initiative grant, so we benefit from the staffing resource, which has been tremendous. The term of this renewal agreement is July 1st through June 30th of 2015. This has added additional flexibility in meeting our patient needs both in-home, in the office, and at the clubhouse.
Nice.
The next action item is a contract for additional funding. It's actually one-time funding for the Statewide Health Improvement Grant, and this is specific to the Statewide Health Improvement Program, otherwise known as SHIP. This provides Blue Earth County with additional funds to use during the implementation phase, and some of these one-time funds will be used by community partners that will be doing the same work that the county is doing. So through the SHIP project, the county has some initiatives that they will be deciding on and working towards, and then in partnership with county organizations or community organizations, community partners, they'll be doing the same work. So some of this money will actually be going to our community partnership. This is one-time funding of $32,754. And this is in addition to our current planning and implementation grants. So the total awards received in this period will be $253,150. Any questions on that one? The third contract is a renewal contract with Alliance Healthcare. We've had this contract for a few years. It is with Alliance Healthcare to provide employer of record services specific to the mental health center. These are for, this contract allows us to employ advanced practice nurses who serve at the mental health center. The contract rates are consistent with market rates. And this is just a contract that allows us to employ them. This is not specific to any of the employees, but it is the vehicle for which we're allowed to employ them. The contract, the term of the contract is May 2nd, 2014 through April 30th, 2015. The next item I have for you is an amendment to our Qualifax Systems contract. The Qualifax is the Blue Earth County electronic health record that's used in the mental health center. Specific to this amendment is a vendor change for our e-prescribing software. So while Qualifax is the overall software vendor, they do subcontract the e-prescribing component to two different vendors, and we currently use MDON as our current vendor. MDON will no longer be state and federally certified to be providing e-prescribing services in the near future, so therefore we are required to switch to the other vendor that is allowable under our electronic health record. That vendor is called Dr. First. There will be a $10 per month increase in fees per psychiatric provider, but the Dr. First platform does allow for significant enhancements in how we can prescribe. So there is a definite gain to that additional cost as well. The costs for these services and for this contract are covered entirely under the South Central Community-Based Initiative grant funding. The amendment is effective May 8th and will be attached to the existing 3-year contract with Qualifax Systems.
So it doesn't really impact the patient care as far as like they have to pay it or anything, you mean, is it?
No, the patients do not have to pay for this fee directly at all. This is a cost of doing business in terms of having our electronic health record. There will be a slight change in how the prescriptions look, and there will be a transition period where the prescribers are learning the new software, and so they may talk openly with their patients about that, about any impacts that might be. Right now, we are not allowed to e-prescribe controlled substances, and this will allow us some additional functionality with that. So it'll actually create the ability for us to send more prescriptions electronically than we can now.
Oh, okay.
So in the end, I think there'll be a gain in terms of ease and usability for our consumers.
Okay.
The final item for action today is not a contract. It is seeking approval for application for a license expansion, and that is from MRCI for their day treatment and habilitation expansion. And this is within our Disability Services division within Human Services. MRCI has expanded their location and has expanded their employment service locations, and they are seeking approval from the county to submit an application to DHS to expand their license. It's really a four-part request. It's one request, but that there's impacts in four different areas of their business practice, which is there would be license expansion for their Map Drive facility, 2 licensing components that are in the new East Park building, and as well as 1 expansion request for their Caddy programming. This won't currently affect rates, that it does not directly affect the rates. And the purpose for this license expansion, or this license request, is so that a determination of needs for expansion can happen through DHS. And so this isn't necessarily supporting the action down the line that would come at a later time. This is really saying we support MRCI in conducting this expansion study to determine at what rate and how should their license look into the future. And so it allows them to initiate that process in those 4 areas.
Interesting. This is kind of a side note to it, but it's related. Just wondering, I know that, we're also on Map Drive. We've got our Public Works facility, right back there. And we've noticed when we go to meetings up there, that there's a nice little ball diamond that the children use quite a lot right behind MRCI, between Public Works and MRCI. And I was just wondering if that's MRCI land, or if that's some kind of park, the county land
They
there.
own 4 or 5 acres. I sit on the MRCI board, but they own 4 or 5 acres back there, but I'm
So
not
that
sure
could
who
be-
controls that. But
Okay.
I'm not sure where it goes, but we've talked about actually building up there, and I know there's some land back there, so.
Yeah, a lot of kids use that. I didn't know if that would be omitted then, or go away, when they expand.
Oh, no,
I don't
if we
know.
ever, we're just in talking, that's not related to this program, but it's a good question, and it has been talked about, so that's
just curious.
And we noticed that when we were up there for the public hearing the other day, up at the highway shop, we seen the kids playing back there,
Yeah.
so. I'll ask that when we start talking about that.
I was curious who
Building
runs that.
expansions again, but
Yeah.
we did secure another building over off Highway 22, so the talk of doing the stuff behind MRCI is way in the future at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just curious, I was just curious. I know it's not related to this.
I know, but yeah, it's just,
It's just a topic.
this is a good program though, and I think if, the MRCI is growing and if we got the people that can use the services, let's get more in the system, so.
Right. I mean, really what this does is it allows MRCI to have some flexibility in their service delivery system. And as we will be more and more affected by the Olmsted decision and Jensen settlement, we will have to, be able to provide as a community the most integrated services possible. And so this study would then allow a community partner to look to see what can they provide in that realm as it relates to employment services. So from our perspective, it is about a provider seeking flexibility in their services.
We're gonna be there later on today too.
Yeah,
aren't we?
11 o'clock.
Going up there for a tour.
There's no other questions, I'll move the approval of the.
Second it.
Okay, discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ed. Thank you.
That's some informational stuff. If you have some informational stuff.
I do.
for us, too.
I have 2 informational items. The first attachment that you have in your packet is titled Human Services Safety Work Group. For the past year, Human Services has been embarking on a focused effort to improve the safety of the staff and the consumers that we serve. And we believe that it is our responsibility to talk about this with staff and make sure that we are doing what we can to ensure the safety of all members or all individuals who use our building either through employment or accessing services. What we did was we connected with department leadership and employees. So there was a self-nomination process where a few employees expressed interest in assisting with safety planning, and some of the department leadership also engaged in this. So it was a model which was where safety improvements were made with the employees as at the decision-making table along with leadership. And that only enhanced our product, we feel, so that we can hear direct concerns from staff as well. The whole purpose of this is that we wanted to have consistency in approach in how we approach safety needs, and consistency in how we respond as well, so that items that are addressed for one unit are also addressed for other units. The last part for the purpose is messaging to new employees. When we have a new employee starting in Human Services, they learn a lot in their first day, week, month, year, and then they continue to over the coming years as well. One of the things that has been included but lacking in our orientation process is our expectations around safety and how it is an individual responsibility to assure that we are acting as safely as possible, but then also to make sure that employees know what we have put in place as an agency to promote a safe workplace. And so all of the products that we have rolled out under this work group, we've also incorporated within our new employee orientation packet as well, so that they're educated about it from day one, so that they don't happen to have to hear about it, years later after an incident occurs. We went through an extensive evaluation of our current status for what we are currently doing and what we have been currently doing for years as it relates to safety measures. And we were surprised at how much we already did have in place. I think when we don't talk about it directly, we can make assumptions and feel like safety isn't being attended to, but then when we started to map out what there was, we had pages and pages of items that the group brainstormed and said, we already have these things in place. And so communicating about that to employees is our necessary first step to say we do have safety precautions in place. But then following that, we conducted a gaps analysis to say these are areas in which we wanted to improve. And so that gaps analysis led us to develop 4 work groups, and I have those listed. The first work group was a threats, evacuation, and lockdown work group, where we talked about kind of what first comes to mind when people think about keeping me safe in the workplace. The person with a weapon and active shooter scenarios often get brought up in terms of concern that we need more in place with that, and that is especially true. We hear this from employees, especially after there is an incident somewhere in the nation that just heightens everyone's awareness, and so that brings the conversation to light. We have put together a training that will be going out to all staff on June 25th, I believe it is, and we have accessed local expertise from Mankato Public Safety, the fire department, and the sheriff's department as well. 3 experts will be assisting us in training staff on threats, evacuation, and lockdown protocols. They have worked directly with us to develop their curriculum so that it's specific to Human Services and so that it's meaningful to the staff that are present. That training will be coming up at the end of July, or at the end of June, and we will be doing everything from what to expect during an incident if a person shows up in the building with a weapon, so what to expect from law enforcement, as well as what our own personal responsibilities are and how to respond and react in those situations. Personal awareness is another group. We felt that we can put in external parameters for safety, but what's really most important is that we all know that we are responsible to some degree to keep ourselves safe. So that means not entering a situation that we don't feel is safe, or working with a partner if we're to go into a location that we're unsure about, or utilizing and accessing law enforcement to assist us. This personal awareness training will be coming up in the late summertime. We'll be focusing on awareness and not resting in kind of the unaware mode or responding in panic. Core and field safety work groups focused on items within the office, so that's what core is about. So items that are specific to our building, so signage, fire extinguishers. We have panic buttons that we utilize within the building that automatically connect with the 911 dispatch. And field safety was really looking at questions that each discipline had. So they sought out questions from each field of practice to address either on a policy level, a practical level, or future planning level on ways to improve the safety in both areas. The outcomes and lessons learned, at this point it was a lessons learned that we had a lot in place, but that there was more to do. And I think that this will be an evolutionary process where every couple of years we will be bringing this back up. It's not going to be a one-time deal and we'll set it aside. The lessons learned, I'm really interested to see, more of what we hear from staff after we roll out these trainings. And so that'll be coming out later this summer, and we'll likely share that information with you at that time. Do you have any questions about our
I was just curious, when did this group start then?
We started approximately 1 year ago.
Oh, okay.
And when I met with Paul Barta from the Sheriff's Department, he congratulated us on getting so far within 1 year. When I was feeling like, we wanted to get some of this out into the hands of employees sooner and sooner and sooner, he encouraged us to be very planful in our process and make sure that it's the right information that we need. So the 1 year initiative is sounding better all the time.
Well, it's really important things too, because number one, of course, we all know wherever you work, it's good you can perform better if you feel safe, or at least as safe as possible. I know that I worked at Security Hospital 28 years, and we would talk about where people, if they ever have anybody into an office for an interview or anything, the placement of where you have your desk, where you have other items in the room, placement of your chairs, everything could have an impact on your safety. And so this is what it sounds like you're kind of covering, is all those kind of things, your physical space, your awareness. Those things are really important to review from time to time, and people forget until you have an incident, what can happen.
That is exactly the going around looking at desk placement is something that our core group did. They went through the building and there are some pieces that would require major structural changes in order to accommodate. And so they looked for those areas that we could more easily accommodate with a slight desk change, or, and then balancing out the ergonomics with that as well. We wanted to make sure that we were giving employees suggestions that were best for them, both in terms of their safety in interacting with individuals, but also their own personal safety as far as ergonomics as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Other questions?
Thank you.
I have a quick MNsure update for you. I think it's been a couple of months since you may have heard anything about MNsure.
Everything is working wonderful and there's no issues anymore? Maybe not.
I'm hopeful that will be the case soon. But we have seen some delays with our MNsure program. I've attached this handout, this chart, which gives you an idea of what has happened with our caseload growth since the program changes have taken place with MNsure. And you can see that our actual caseload size has hit an all-time high and continues to rise. The projected caseload size is projected in that we expect at some time this year to see a plateau of new enrollments, but we're unsure of when that will be. And so that projected caseload number is something that we've used our current numbers to. We've analyzed our current numbers and projected out. That could change drastically. The blue line shows the caseload capacity by our approved FTE, and so you see where there was a convergence where we were coming close to being able to meet the need. Now at this point, our staff are doing the best they can every day to process the applications that they have, and we are seeing longer and longer wait times. Our continued lack of ability with MNsure to process cases has also contributed to the delay in the case times as well. Just to give you an idea, the state received 7,000 paper applications in the month of April. That doesn't count those that came through the electronic system, and that's just in 1 month. That was significant. It's been reported that DHS has received 40,000 paper applications in total. Again, that's just paper applications. That's not who's actually getting through on the MNsure website as well. We currently have 311 pending applications on MNsure. So those are those that have applied on the electronic side, not the paper side. So 311 pending applications on MNsure. And some of those are pending as far back as October. And we are unable to process some of those that are pending that far back because the system doesn't allow the capability and functionality for us to process those. So we are processing every single case that we possibly can and that we do have the ability within the system to process. We don't have an ability within the system to exactly see how many pending cases we have. I can tell you 311 because that's a report that DHS gave us. But up until that point, we were only able to determine the number of pending cases if someone came to us and said, I'm supposed to have health care coverage. It's not active yet. Can you tell me why? And so when people were reaching out to us with that information, it was very helpful because we could actually then access them in the system. But we had no lists that we could work off to determine who really fit in that category. Due to the volume of the paper applications and the way that this has rolled out, we are managing the electronic paper or the electronic applications. DHS is processing the paper applications, but with that kind of volume over the past month or two, they have now sent us some paper applications and asked us to begin processing them in our legacy system, so in Maxis. So we are going back to our old system, and in those that they have selected for us, we will be processing those in Maxis. And specific individuals, specific situations are applications on inmates, emergency medical assistance, and people residing in an institute. Oh, it's an IMD. It's a large facility, so it's an individual who needs the coverage so that they can continue residing in their residence where they're also receiving the healthcare services. The most recent change that has happened with MNsure, you may have seen in the news, is that they have changed their lead project manager to Deloitte Consulting. And so Deloitte is right now rolling out and making recommendations for strategy for ongoing operations. So what to do over the next year and 2 years to improve the functionality of MNsure. And so many times the question has been posed, does it make sense to go back to our legacy system? As you've heard now, we're actually processing some in our old system. Deloitte will be giving recommendations on that. And to make any changes at this point is a significant amount of time, and we are interested in what Deloitte will be making recommendations about, and we should be hearing that in the near future is our hope. Until then, our workers continue with a positive attitude as best they can to continue to process applications. We do get calls every day from individuals in the community that have their applications in a pending status. And I have to say, our staff have remained positive throughout this whole time, even given all of the hiccups that they've encountered through this process.
I have a question.
Yes.
I was wondering, on this, I was looking at the chart here, and you're giving a sort of an implication of the caseload growth and, capacity of full-time equivalents that work with people who are asking for some kind of assistance. Is there a larger percentage, though, because of this MNsure issue, where, let's say that they assist them, they get them where they need to be connected, then that falls back off again, or are they going to be staying on some sort of a file system with the county, with MNsure, or is it more or less the initial contact, helping get them involved with what they need, and then our services kind of fall back?
Sure, two parts to answer that. Once they're on MNsure, and as long as they remain on a MNsure program that is specific to medical assistance or a managed care plan, they, medical assistance, they remain our case to manage. So that is our case management system that we use for that healthcare application and ongoing coverage. So they will continue to remain on our caseload once we have approved them as eligible. The theory and the goal behind MNsure is that we will have less touching of that eligibility and ongoing case management process. And that is the theory, and that is the intended hope for the future. So that my hope is that right now an average caseload of 205, that number shall increase in the future if MNsure does what it's intended to do as they continue to build the platform for us. So while the person will remain on our caseload, our involvement in manually processing their eligibility would be less over time, is the intention with MNsure. So I would hope to see over time, not current, because of what's happening with MNsure, we're actually seeing probably that number should be less because it is taking us significantly more time to process. I just heard from a worker the other day that said putting a new infant on a caseload, so add it, so you know, a mother has a baby, we need to add them on the family's plan. In our old system, it would take a matter of minutes to process once we had all the information that we needed. Now it's taking up to an hour to process. So it is significantly more difficult right now. If MNsure continues to be designed in the way that it's envisioned to be, we should have less hands-on work with each case. I do expect that to be years down the line at this point.
So I remember you came to a work session with Phil and talked about that. Talked about how the initial coming in and then the request for 3 or 4 additional staff to Human Services, and some of that was going to be funded through the state of Minnesota, and that would be helping us through this transition period. And we thought we might have to add even 1 or 2 more staff. I wasn't sure during this period of transition into MNsure and trying to get things, what would you call it, settle into the new system.
Right,
and so, and then it was supposed to drop off and be more simple after that, and that's what I was just wondering.
And we do expect that how we process the application in time will hopefully become more simple. At this point, it's hard to say that because we don't know the roadmap for the future with MNsure.
Sure.
So it hasn't rolled out as we had hoped and as we were being informed of. But to answer your other question, yes, we are receiving 75% match or 75% funding from the federal government for healthcare actions. So workers that complete healthcare related actions, it's a 75% FFP, yes.
Yeah. For, was it 2 years? Is that what it's for?
They have lifted the 2 years at this point, and so they haven't set the new deadline.
Okay.
But yes, it was 2 years initially, so we're hoping that extends.
So this is sort of an update.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, the states have the problem, because most of these would be Medicaid, right?
Yes.
People, so then states now, I just saw that, where, as they talked about before, but their budgets are, states are concerned, red and blue, whatever, that they're gonna be
right.
strapped for money, because I think California was over $1.5 billion more than they thought. This first part of the year, yeah.
Right. Minnesota has seen the same thing. You know, the original projections is that there were, from the original projections of private plans purchased on MNsure to the public plans accessed through MNsure, the ratio is different than their from their original projections. So yes, it is different than they anticipated.
Another financial time bomb, I guess. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your report.
That's good.
Jay, you got a report for us?
Chair and Commissioners, the Human Service Advisory Committee did not meet as scheduled on May 8th because of a tornado warning that was issued just a short time before we were supposed to meet. So I have two task force reports. Mental health. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. NAMI has set up a display at the Blue Earth County Library for the entire month of May. The Second Step Clubhouse is planning to have an open house in June to celebrate the move to their new location at the Vine Building, which will begin at Grace Lutheran Church and then at Centenary Methodist. No, I'm sorry, I skipped something. I overread something, sorry. Move to the Vine Building, and you guys know the address of the new Vine Building?
I think we got that one.
Okay, next one, Pam Dieterman from Vine spoke up to the task force. She gave a tour of the new adult community center. Their goal is to have a one-stop shop for senior adults. Their services focus on physical health, socialization, volunteer efforts, and access to needed services. The building is set up with the following areas of interest: conference rooms, multi-purpose rooms, education rooms, music and craft areas, walking track, fitness rooms with exercise equipment geared towards older adults, a chapel, a game room. There is also space for a future indoor swimming pool and locker rooms. Under Social Service Task Force, Lynette Ayers was hired as the new adult service supervisor. Lynette will be at the June 2nd Social Service Task Force meeting. An audit referred to as the Minnesota Child and Family Services Review was completed by the Department of Human Services. They review case files and made program improvement suggestions for Blue Earth County's Child and Family Services Unit. Any questions? Ask Angie.
No, but this is your show, Jay.
But she knows the answers, I don't, so.
Your management material with the
Good job, Jay.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jay.
That's very nice.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jay, aren't you supposed to start a beer in the fall, not the spring?
I have a reason. We got done planting Sunday night. I haven't had time to
You just took a shower to be with us here today, so.
Basically, yeah, yesterday was
It looks good, it looked distinguished.
I don't like it.
Want to do some administrative stuff?
Well, Mr. Chair, would you like to start with commissioner reports on the committees?
We can do that.
Well, okay. Are we set for 11 o'clock at MRCI, or are we kind of flexible on that?
I told them, that we'd be set at 11, but because of our agenda, we didn't know,
Okay.
and he was understanding if we were a little bit late.
Okay.
We'll go quickly.
We can get through this.
I got a big one, but I'm just gonna mention the
You
committees
got
I'm
a
on, so-
big one? Oh my gosh.
I could send him an email too.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to
Go ahead,
start?
Kip, you're the one that's worried about
MRCI. Don't want to be late for my MRCI committee meeting. MRCI, then we were, I think most of us were at the park banquet, or Mark? Mark couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Which that was a good program. Department head, planning and zoning, which I would have reported on before the meeting, but we didn't have time, but you already seen that. South Central, or SWCD meeting. Stopped down at the Visit Mankato before the mayors and clerks meeting. Veterans Court, Mark and I were there, which was a great program with Judge Walker. Up to Micah, South Central Workforce, MVAC, East School visits with Jesse. Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time. Bob and I met with Geronimo. They are talking about another solar panel operation over by Mapleton somewhere. So we just had a very initial meeting and kind of visited with them about that. Went down to the training with Jesse, and Michael was there, Vance was there, and Lisa was there at my table. So good training. EMS and no, I didn't get the EMS because of that training, and then regional radio board. So that's my report.
That wasn't
That was
very long.
fast.
Yeah, that was fast.
That was good.
You're good.
But 3 weeks. We all should have booked reports 3 weeks.
Okay, mine was quick too. We had the open house on 66th, May 5th. We did the mayors and clerks on May 8th. Then we had the Veterans Court we went to. I did catch the groundbreaking with, I guess, Vance, and no, everybody was there for the roundabout thing.
No problem.
That was, except for the Kip, but yeah.
seen
Then
you
I
on
did have
TV.
my shack, state health, whatever, community health, and advisory committee on the state level, and that was in St. Paul, and that's my last thing, but I only add that was right after the session, and the health commissioner was in the meetings with medical marijuana, or cannabis, excuse me. It's medical cannabis, and if you're dealing with recreational, then it's recreational marijuana. So we deal with cannabis, all right? You got it?
THC.
So I learned anyway. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yes. Well, it started with the Parks banquet. Then we had our department head meeting on the 7th. On the 8th, I had breakfast down at the Children's Museum. And then I had the Visit Mankato 30th anniversary. Mark was there. Mayors and clerks that evening. Then attended the Greater Mankato Growth Leader Quest, which was at South Central College, which was really an amazing thing. I mean, they had Desmond Tutu that talked from South Africa live, and they had Barbara Bush, and then a group of other leaders that spoke live, which was pretty amazing from around the world. We had a roundabout groundbreaking at Snell Motors, most of us were at. Community farm meeting that same day. On the 14th, Towards Zero Death, the regional meeting up at MSU with Drew, and that was a very, very good meeting. 15th, I had a Highway 169 joint executive and technical meeting. On the 16th, I attended a celebration for Fred Lutz's 50 years of flying and he received an FAA Master Pilot Award, which there was only 2 others in Mankato that ever received that. One was George Sugden, and the other person I think has passed along. So
Could have been solar, I wonder if there was a solar, the solar airport.
on the 19th, my Minnesota Transportation Alliance meeting, and then I rushed home and made the diversity board meeting that afternoon. And then the 20th, there was an open house at Vine, and I got to listen to Drew and his wife with music, and that was very nice. On the 21st, had a roundabout business lunch meeting at Applebee's, and then another community farm meeting. The 22nd, the AMC leadership training session at the country, or at where was that at?
One up at the mall.
Marriott. Very, very good meeting, along with Kip. And on 22nd, we had Memorial Day events that many of us were at, and then this morning I had my airport commission.
Early, right?
7 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, our last board meeting, May 6th, that same day, we went to the GMG Business After Hours. I saw Kip there. Didn't you stop
Oh, that's
in?
right, I did, yeah, that's probably my MRCI.
Yeah,
Well, it was all the same
MRCI.
day, so, yeah.
Anybody else? I can't remember.
I guess I was there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Vance was there.
I was there too.
You just stopped in quickly.
Same day as, yeah,
Park board,
yeah, I
yeah.
guess I
Yeah.
was there for,
And then ran over to that Parks Board thing quick, and
Mhm.
that was nice out there at Bray Park on Mass Lake, and listened to Scott Kadalka, who talked a lot about the animals of this region. And then, of course, May 7th on Wednesday, department head meeting. Thursday, mayors and clerks meeting at the town of Skyline.
It's actually city.
Have you heard of it? Oh, it's a city of Skyline, sorry. I'll correct that in my report. And we got to listen to Emily Javins, who's the SWCD supervisor for this area. And that was pretty interesting. She did a really good job. Gaburba, Friday the 9th at the Egg Center. We had our policy meeting, talk about things and approve bills. Attended along with some of us here at the Highway 22 roundabout groundbreaking over at Snell Motors and also at the Snell Motors Community Room. So there's not as many people because it was raining that day, and I expected more people to be there. But there's a lot of local officials and a lot of construction folks and that sort of thing, but not a lot of.
And refreshments, don't forget the refreshments.
There's refreshments, and they had a lot of
Businesses.
coupons they were handing out. I know that. And then on the 13th, I went to part of the Lifestyle Expo. Anybody know what that is? Lifestyle. They changed it from Senior Expo because I guess they're trying to get away from that senior image.
there's another one I forgot to put down.
But that was interesting. Well attended. There's a lot of people there. And then, of course, with Vance at the Towards Zero Death Conference right up here at MSU. And they had really good speakers, good information always, and breakout sessions. And every year they're going to be planning on having one in this South Central corridor area down here. Quick meeting with Bob Meyer on Friday the 16th. And then, the 15th. Now, I don't know, one of us has got the dates wrong, because I went to a children's breakfast museum, I thought, on that date. It was a
There
children's
was
museum.
one the week before and one that week.
Oh, so they have a couple in a row. Okay, I thought maybe I had the wrong date.
Yeah.
I went to that little breakfast update they had. And then I signed up for first aid training. So I came over here to our government center building and a lot of staff there, and we had a nice little general first aid training session. And then on the 17th, which is a Saturday, the Lincoln Park Neighborhood Association every year has what they call Lincoln Park May Tea on the Lawn. And we have coffee, hot chocolate, goodies, and plants that people exchange or sell. And it was the weather for one of the first times I can remember was nice. It was nice outside. And so we enjoyed that. Lincoln Park annual meeting was the next Monday on the 19th. And now Bethlehem Lutheran Church has opened up, they've added, they did a huge remodel over the last 12 months on their facility, and they've added a community area room specifically just for the community, and they've opened it up for our neighborhood, but other people can use it in the community. You can book it. And so we had our association meeting there, and two of the people that were here today, Beth Hankey and Chris Leineman. Beth is the president for the Lincoln Park Neighborhood Association, and Chris is very active. They both went through the Citizens Academy here at the county. So, yeah, they were here today. So we had a good meeting. It's our annual meeting in May. Let's see. Along with Vance, did you see that beautiful photograph in the Free Press? I think Vance was closer to that end of the camera, and then our sheriff, and Brad.
License Bureau.
Huh?
At the License Bureau.
Yeah, down at the License Bureau. We all filed to run for office, and I saw Mike McLaughlin was down there filing for city council, and I saw Karen Foreman and Pat McDermott filing for county attorney position, and it was kind of a lineup of us all down the counter. It was kind of interesting, but so then I also attended the From the Top fundraising event at Nichols Hall. They're still looking for funds from the community to try to complete their vision that they've got over there, And then I also participated in a webinar on Wednesday the 21st by the Minnesota Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts, the U of M, Water Resources, University of Minnesota Extension, and it was a nitrogen nutrient tool, and I think you're aware of it maybe. I think you've heard about it, Will. And it's a very complex tool which can kind of give an estimate of how this nitrogen can be utilized. So there's less runoff into our surface waters that we have. And it was very interesting. And then I met shortly with Julie Conrad to talk about this. She's our county water planner, to talk about the Middle Minnesota watershed. Met briefly with Scott Fickner, talk about this building project, just to see in my head where things were at. And then short meeting with Angela Youngerberg, talk about some community concerns. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I had a good weekend too, with my wife. We planted some flowers in our garden over the weekend, and just kind of enjoyed having a 3-day weekend. It was nice.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, other than the stuff that's already been mentioned, on the 6th, I had the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund meeting through TDS. On the 9th, I did the extension interviews. They're hiring a new staff person there. Had the Brown County evaluation meeting also on the 9th. And on the 15th, they had the TDS board meeting. And then yesterday, I attended the memorial service at the Vernon Center Cemetery. So that brings us up to today.
Oh, Mr. Chair, just want
Yes.
to mention, there's a nice open house to say goodbye to Bob Haig. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
And he's been the city administrator out Lake Crystal City there, and
Yeah.
and it's going to be from 6 to 8 on June 17th. I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention
Good.
that.
So, okay. So,
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, the first item under Administrative Services then is the county board minutes for May 6th of this year.
So moved.
Second?
discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. The bills,
I'll move the bills.
Second.
discussion?
Just had just a couple of questions. I saw it a couple times on here. It was a Clearly Building Corporation. You know, the first week it was 31,000, and then later on it was, in the third week, it was 23,000. I was just curious if there's,
That's a cold storage building down by the new cell at the landfill. We needed to have a cold storage building for some of the equipment to keep it out of the elements.
that was approved last fall, wasn't it, or something?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That was pretty much it.
Okay. Anything else? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Human Resources is informational. Anybody have any questions on that?
Nope. Just, yeah,
Okay.
the one.
If not, we'll move on to the Boating Safety Patrol Supplemental Grant Agreement.
Right, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, this is an additional grant of $4,500 to the Sheriff's Department for water patrol purposes on some of our more active time periods, holidays and weekends.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Canvassing Board appointments.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, we are required to have 2 members of the county board selected to serve on the canvassing board, and so I'm recommending appointment of Commissioner People and Commissioner Purvis to that canvassing board.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. The Middle Minnesota Watershed
They didn't
appointment?
want me and you, I don't know why.
Yeah, why shouldn't we be on it? We want to be on that.
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
2 years. Then again, maybe not. No.
Maybe not.
We received a request from Nicollet County Board of Commissioners to appoint a member to the Middle Minnesota Watershed to have an organizational meeting to discuss some efforts around the watershed. And so I've spoken with Commissioner Campbell, and he's expressed interest, and so if the board is comfortable with that, we could appoint him to that.
Okay, we have a motion to
Move to
approve.
approve.
Second.
Discussion?
I can't think of somebody that knows more about the watershed on this board than Commissioner Campbell, so.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Very good, good fit. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. the first quarter donations.
Item number 8 in your packet is the list of monetary and in-kind donations, and so we would need a motion to accept the donations.
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, financial status?
It's item number 9 in your packet. We are a third of the way through the year. Again, this is kind of the low point in terms of revenues compared to expenditures because we're waiting for those first half property taxes to arrive now in May. And so in terms of expenditures, we're at 27.3% of our budget, so a little below budget at this point. But again, with the summer construction season starting now, I expect that that will catch up very quickly. For the sake of time, I'll just respond to any questions that the board might have.
Just a comment, looks like we're doing better than projected on our investments.
Right, you know, it's mostly in terms of market value. The actual return on those investments is not all that great, but we anticipated that.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the last item.
Last item is a request from the city of Mankato to waive a 30-day comment period. They would like to move ahead with the change in the tax increment financing district for the parking ramp down where the new Tailwind Development Group is moving forward. The estimated cost of the expansion is $2.5 million, provided that the ramp is expanded during the current construction. If the ramp expansion occurs after the current phase of construction has been completed, the cost of adding that additional parking space would increase by $420,000 because of remobilization costs associated with that and the supports that would need to be erected during the expansion. Also, if they delay this decision, they'll need to close that parking ramp when that expansion occurs. So it's more convenient and cost-effective to have the construction change order issued now before construction begins. And they need to take action on June 9th. So we're here basically to pass a motion, if the board so chooses, to waive that 30-day comment period and allow them to move ahead with their public hearing.
And the only comment I would have is that I thought it was interesting that there's something in the state law that says they have to consult with, at least with the commissioner that sits in that district, and so I got a letter about it too, you know, and reviewed the information that was mailed to me. And it doesn't sound like we have much of a choice anyway. I mean, it'd be beneficial for them to continue moving forward and to not cost the projects extra money.
Right, you know, the city has a lot of authority to move ahead with that tax increment financing district without county board approval or anything, but, you know, this is about the 30-day comment period and waiving that period of time. There just isn't time to do that and still get the construction on the pace that they would like it to be.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
And this is only the comment period for us.
Right.
So anybody else, any other jurisdiction would, so we're only talking, acting on
Yes,
behalf
they will
of this
still
board.
have a public hearing on June 9th.
Yep.
Just us.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, that's all we have for today until
Okay.
we tour MRCI and enjoy lunch
Recess
up
to
there.
MRCI?
Okay. Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're recessed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.